If you're looking to purchase a home on Vancouver Island, you've got to be properly prepared. No matter if you're just starting to do your market research early, maybe you're 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years away from making the move, or maybe you're writing an offer this week. Well, to get from sold, you've got to be able to have an accepted offer. But what is an offer? What's a contract to purchase and sale? What's a deposit? What's a completion date? What's a possession date? What is the Homebuyer's Rescission Act? There is a lot to learn before you write an offer. So at High Tide Real Estate Group, one of our #1 priorities is to get you properly prepared, and that is what this video is all about. So get your popcorn, sit back. We're gonna learn, what does it take to write an offer on a home on Vancouver Island? Let's go get after it right now. My name is Justin White with the High Tide Real Estate Group. We are the #1 relocation team on all Vancouver Island. I also want to give a big shout out to all of our thousands of subscribers that tune in each and every week for our new videos. People like you, and you looking to make Vancouver Island their new home. So no matter if you're 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year away from making the move, all of our contact details are down below. Now, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to click that subscribe button and tap on that alert so you'll be the first to get the videos on real estate on Vancouver Island, but also about the lifestyle of living the West Coast dream. Now, on today's video, we're gonna be doing something that I've never done before. Our clients are moving from all across Canada and even the United States. And no matter if you purchased a property last month, last year, 10 years, or you're a first-time home buyer, this is the video that you'll want to see. We have a duty to get you properly prepared so that when we do see that home that ticks all of your boxes, we'll be able to strike while the iron is hot. Now, how do we do that? We want to get you properly prepared with the knowledge of how to put in an offer before we get the point of putting in the offer. So today, I'm actually going to take you deep inside of my computer. We're going to walk through what is an offer. We're going to cover a contract to purchase and sale. We're going to talk about the offer price. We're going to talk about deposit amounts. We're going to talk about completion day, possession day, adjustment day. What are all these dates? We're also going to talk about what is the Homebuyer's Rescission Act and how does it protect you as a buyer, and lots more. This is all the information that you're going to need, no matter if you're already working with one of our licensed agents and you're out on an exploratory tour, or you're just thinking about putting in an offer on a home. No matter if it's months away, this is the video that you'll want to check out. So let's go dive deep right in now and look at what is a contract to purchase and sale, and what does it take to purchase a home here in BC, and especially on Vancouver Island. In British Columbia, the actual offer is called the Contract of Purchase and Sale. Now, this documentation is created and put out by the British Columbian Real Estate Association as well as the Bar Association, and it is an actual legal binding contract. Now, on page 1 here, the first thing you're going to see is definitions. What's a contract? What's a deposit? What's the completion date? What's the possession date? What's the title? We're going to review all of that as we go through today. On page 2, you're going to see information about a contract purchase and sale. So the very first area that you'll be initialing is section 6. Customary costs. Now, if you're a buyer, there are going to be costs of buying your new home here in BC. #1, you're going to have lawyer or notary expenses. So these include searching title, drafting documents, land title registration. You're also going to have costs of your mortgage. And now, if you're working with High Tide Real Estate Group, we'll be introducing you to our preferred mortgage broker, who is one of our collaborative partners as well. And then there's going to be things like fire insurance, which you'll want to have insurance on there, and your lender will actually have to have that in order to lend the money. And then sales tax, if it's applicable. So if it's a new home build, you're going to have that 5% GST, and then property transfer tax, which we're going to talk about inside there. So yes, BC stands for British Columbia. If you watch my other videos, you know it stands for bring cash as well. So these are customary costs, and you'll have an initial for all the decision makers beside this, just saying that you know that there are costs. Now on page 3, it's actually page 1 of 11. This is the actual contract of purchase and sale. Now it'll be written up by our brokerage, eXp Realty, and it'll be prepared by myself or one of our licensed agents at High Tide, and then it'll have your name as a buyer and then any of the other buyers, so husband and wife, or maybe there's 3 or 4 different people that are going to be purchasing the property together. Obviously, this is a sample, so we've got John and Mary buyer, and then the seller's names on the right-hand side, Tom and Susan seller. That'll have the property address, so the civic address, in this case, 123 Main Street. Then there'll be a PID, which is the property identifier number. This is the number that's used by BC Assessment in order to identify this specific property, as well as there's a legal description here. Lot 8, Plan VIP 75076. Now, where do we get all this information? We're going to actually pull the title from the land title registry. You may have heard it in the old days called a deed. Well, now it's called a title. So there's a land title, which will show the actual owners in fee and simple. In this scenario, it's Tom and Suzanne seller, and we'll verify the civic address, the property identifier number, and the legal address. Section 1 will have the actual purchase price of the property, which meaning your offer price. That's what will go in there. Now, underneath that, you'll see there's a paragraph that has this smaller number. In this case, it's $1,875. What this is this is the home buyer's rescission period regulation. Now, if you haven't bought property since January 2023, this is going to be something that's very new to you, but it's for the benefit of the buyer. What this does is after you have an accepted offer, this gives you 3 business days to rescind your offer, meaning collapse or pull back the offer with no questions asked. Now, why did they create this? Back in 2019, 2020, we had a crazy market. People were putting in offers and there was a lot of multiple offers. They were over asking price with no subjects, meaning no way for the buyer to get out. So what happened is when it would come to closing time, a lot of these buyers who were overzealous putting in an offer, they couldn't afford to buy the home, and it clogged up the BC court system. So BC court system as well as the BC REA got together and they created this home buyer's rescission period regulation. Again, it gives you 3 business days, not including weekends or statutory holidays, to be able to rescind your offer. Now, if you do that, you've got to pay a penalty directly back to the seller of 0.25% of the agreed upon purchase price. So in this scenario, $750,000, 0.25% is $1,875. Now, most of the offers that we write, they will have subjects in there, subject to inspection, subject to financing, maybe subject to well or septic inspection. But this is in the scenario that we have a cash buyer. It is going to be there to protect you. But as well, in rare scenarios, we've used this as well to be able to collapse a deal so that our buyer could go and purchase another property. So that is what the home buyer's rescission period regulation is. And again, your licensed agent will go over this more in detail. Now, on the bottom of each page, you're going to have initials there. So all the different buyers, be it 1, 2, 3, or 4, will all need to initial the bottom of every page. Now, section 2 is all going to be about the deposit, and your licensed agent can actually guide you in the amount of the deposit. Here we've got $10,000. Normally it would be due within 24 hours of acceptance of the offer, but our goal here is that we have your best interest in heart. So we're going to ask for 48 hours after this final subject removal. So if there's a 2-week subject removal day, we'll get 48 hours after that to have the deposit in, not including statutory holidays or weekends. Now, who gets the deposit? This is one of the biggest misconceptions in real estate because a lot of sellers think that they get the deposit. So if the buyers don't complete, they get to hang on to it. That is a big misconception. Where in most cases, where the actual deposit is held is in the buyer's broker account. So we're with eXp Realty. So what would happen is it's going to be held in a trust account with eXp Realty. That way, if we ever had to collapse the offer, it can be easily refunded to the buyers. Now, section 3 is going to be all about terms and conditions. When we talk about section 3, we're going to be going over subjects and terms. The easy way to remember it is subjects have to be removed before the deal goes unconditional, meaning a binding contract. Terms are going to be there for the lifetime of the contract. So some of the terms that we're using in this example is terms of the title. Subjects would be subject to the title being inspected by the buyers, subject to disclosure and going through the property disclosure statement, which states if there's any issues with the building, the structure, any underground oil tanks buried there, any problem with the plumbing, the electrical, and your licensed agent's going to go through all of that, but we're going to have a subject to a property disclosure statement, also subject to insurance, making sure that you, the buyer, can get insurance at satisfactory terms and at rates that you are approving to. Now, the only time that we've seen an issue with this is if a home is half built and there's danger, but in 99% of the cases, it's just satisfying you, the buyer, that you'll be able to get home insurance, and we can help you with that as well and do recommendation for local insurance companies. Now, again, your lender will not lend you the money unless you have insurance in place. So you'll want to have that insurance typically 24 hours to 40 hours before the closing date. Now, the other subject that we have in here is subject to a home inspection, and we highly recommend this. Now, this is something you don't have to worry about as a buyer. A lot of our buyers don't live here, so we use licensed, reputable home inspectors, where at High Tide Real Estate Group, we will organize that inspection on your behalf. We'll introduce you to the inspector. We'll meet the inspector there. He'll go through and he'll do a very comprehensive report. Most of the time, it's 45 to 50 pages long, including pictures, descriptions, and even video. And then we'll meet up with the inspector after, either by Zoom or in person, and be able to go through the home and look at what are the things that need to be addressed. And then if there are large issues with the home, we can either A, come back and renegotiate the agreed upon price, or B, the seller can actually get those items repaired before the closing date. And then the other fifth subject that we have that are very typical is typical of financing. Even if you're pre-approved already with your lender, we'll want to make sure that your lender approves this home and gets the financing in place. So those are our 5 typical subjects that need to be removed, which are title, property disclosure statement, insurance, inspection, and financing. And then again, most of the time we have a 14-day time period to remove these subjects. Now, if we don't do it within the 14-day time, the deal can collapse, meaning the deal is dead. So we want to make sure that we take quick action as soon as the offer is accepted to get going on those home inspections and get that financing in place. Section 3 continues. Remember, we talked about subjects need to be removed. Well, terms are going to be there for the life of the contract. And I won't go through each one individual, but I'll name them off. Acknowledgement of title. Again, insurance, if there's a forest fire that comes up, because recently with the warmer weather, we've been getting forest fires, and that happens, you may not get insurance. We want to make sure that you are covered so that the closing date keeps getting pushed back and you're not penalized or standing in court having to deal with why didn't you close in time due to a forest fire. There could be a term of measurement, a term of grow-ops for the seller disclaiming that the property's never been used for a marijuana grow-op or for illegal or manufacturing of illegal substances. We want to make sure the property is in clean condition so that when you get it, you don't have to worry about scrubbing toilets and cleaning the carpets, that the appliances, if they're included in the deal, are all in good working condition as of the closing date. Then there's going to be GST if it's a new home build or if you're buying it in a corporation name. And then the property transfer taxes. This is the beautiful tax that British Columbia has. And this is if you've already purchased a home somewhere in your lifetime, you will have to pay property transfer tax. Now, why I said it in that way, because there is an exemption currently as of when this film was made, which is December 2026, that if you're a first-time home buyer, you get a one-time exemption from property tax. As well as if you're with our Canadian military as well, you'll get an exemption from this property transfer tax. If not, you're going to be paying this tax on your new home purchase. Most of the time, our clients roll it into their mortgage payment, but you'll want to talk to your lender about that. How much is the tax? It's 1% on the first $200,000, 2% up to $2 million, and 3% on $3 million and over, and then 5% on anything over $3 million. Now, again, you're going to have some legal costs, approximately $1,500. That will pay for your lawyer or your notary public. And then as well as if you're a foreign buyer, there will be a foreign buyer tax onto this. Now, you're going to have buyer disclosure. We're on a team. We have our agents on a team. So if you're working with myself or one of the agents, you're going to have disclosure, agency disclosure with all of our group. And we can talk more about that in person, just meaning that our whole team works for you. And there'll be buyer signatures at the bottom. Now, there's 3 specific dates that we want to talk about when purchasing a home in BC: completion, possession, and adjustment date. Typically, the completion and adjustment dates are the exact same date. This is the date that the lawyers or notary public do their magic And they do all the adjustments for the purchase price. Things like property tax, they'll take away and minus out your deposit that you paid and any other expenses in there, so that way on the completion date, there'll be a final figure that your lawyer will have with credits, and debits. So that's how much will actually come from your lender or from your mortgage broker. And then possession day is typically the following day, can be at noon or can be at 5 o'clock. This is our favorite time where we get to meet our clients. We have the keys, we go through the home and make sure the home was in the same condition as when we viewed it. Now, section 7, these are items that we want included. When we're doing a real estate transaction, there's two different types of items. There are chattels and there are fixtures. Fixtures are like anything that's attached to the building, like a light fixture is screwed in, a door is bolted in. We don't have to list those out. Chattels are anything that can be moved or taken away. So all of the seller's personal belongings are chattels because they belong to them. Well, believe it or not, a fridge, a stove, a dishwasher, those are all chattels too. They can be unplugged and pulled away unless we list them inside of section 7. So in this example, refrigerator, stove, range hood, washer, dryer, all window coverings and blinds, 2 sets of house keys and mail keys if applicable, 2 garage door or openers. So we want those things to stay behind. We don't want any gray areas, so we do them in black and white on every one of our contracts. And it does differ depending on the home and depending on what's there and what's agreed upon to stay behind after the closing day. Now, what's not excluded, personal belongings and refuse, meaning their personal clothes, their furniture, or any of their garbage. Section 8 will be the date that we actually viewed the property. That way, when we're actually going on to closing day, we'll make sure that they didn't change any of the carpet, the flooring, or do any weird purple painting on the walls. It'll look the exact same as when we viewed it on that day. Initials in the bottom. And then as we go through, the next page is going to be all terms, GST, time is of the essence, buyer, financing. And then when we get down to page 7, this is again where you have agency, meaning that we have a relationship as a professional licensed realtors. We're representing you in this purchase and we have your best interest at heart. We also have a duty to disclose and anything that we hear or know about that may affect your purchase. We also have a duty of confidentiality, and this goes for myself, Justin White, or any of our licensed agents at High Tide Real Estate Group, and that'll be section B with all of our agents listed. And then we come in down to the bottom that this Section 22 is acceptance irrevocable. And what this means is that your digital signature is good as your ink signature. Nowadays, most of our contracts are done digitally. We use technology here at eXp Realty so that we will send this out. It's just saying that it is your seal for your name. Section 23 is that buyer's rescission right that we talked about up top, saying that those 3 business days to rescind or cancel your offer. And if you do, you will pay the penalization of 0.25% of the purchase price directly back to the seller. And then the buyers will initial this. And we're almost there. Every offer has to have a certain time and date that it's finished. Otherwise, it goes on for eternity. So we typically do a 24-hour time that the offer is good in. 3 things will happen within that 24-hour time that we've given the seller the offer. Number 1, they can accept it, which is what we want as buyer agents. Number 2, they could counter it. They could counter the price. They could counter the subjects. They could counter the dates. Anything within the offer, we can counter back. Or the third thing, which doesn't often happen, they could just not reply, and after 24 hours, the deal is dead. Now, we go for 24 hours. In some case, we don't get to an agreement at the end of it. Well, then the buyer and the seller, if they agree, they can extend that 24-hour time by changing this and initialing any of the changes on the contract of purchase and sale. And the final part is that you're a Canadian citizen or that you hold permanent residency, and then you'll initial that. And then all the buyers involved in it will be signing the bottom. The rest of this will actually be for the seller to fill out. And finally, once there is an accepted offer, there'll be the notice for the buyer's rescission, where they'll actually put in the date that the offer was accepted. And then those 3 business days, it'll actually have the date of when you can rescind the offer. As you can see, there's a lot of complexity in writing an offer. This is actually why you hire us as your trusted advisor. Now, myself, Justin White, or any of our agents at High Tide Real Estate Group, we'd be happy to go over this to make the process even easier and to make sure that you understand everything before you sign. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video today and that you've walked away more knowledgeable on what it takes to put an offer in on your next home. We've covered a contract and purchase and sale. We've talked about deposit, where it's held in the brokerage. We've talked about completion day, possession day, adjustment days, and a lot more. Now, we've only scratched the surface at a 30,000 foot view. When you're working with myself or one of the agents on our team at High Tide Real Estate Group, we will schedule time and go through each of the documents page by page put out by the British Columbian Financial Security Association. So if you're looking to make a move, all of our contact details are down below. Set up a Zoom call with myself, Justin White, or one of our licensed agents at High Tide Real Estate Group. Let's get those questions answered now so you can make the move smooth and easy for you and your family. Now, don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, hit on that subscribe button down below and tap that alert so you'll be the first to get videos on the real estate and also the lifestyle on Vancouver Island. And if you're looking to come out to Vancouver Island, reach out and let's set up an exploratory tour where we'll be able to push you away from the keyboard and go out and look at different homes in different areas without the pressure of writing an offer. This will really give you context and perspective about the lifestyle and, of course, the real estate in our beautiful home on Vancouver Island. If not, we're going to see you in the next video.